Hello, John here, and welcome to another of my Toon Boom Harmony tutorial videos. This series is called Basics, and I'm taking new users of Harmony from the first time they open the software right through to hopefully completing their first animation. And we're getting towards the end of this series now, and I'm hoping to actually finish the animation today. So I'll be continuing on from the last video where we got Batman running along and rappelling up the side of the building. And today I'll be finishing this section where he lands on the building, runs along, stops and jumps off and falls down past the credits. So we'll get straight on with it again today. So I'll just turn on the camera window by pressing this third button in, and it will just mask the camera for me, and I can press play and show you where we got up to in the last video. So Batman runs along, rappels up, fires and flies off into the sky. Now I'll play it one more time for you. I have been fiddling with the animations since my last video, so I'll just go through what I've done. The first thing I did was, you'll see here, his body bends down as he pulls his gun out, and then bends up and looks upwards as he's about to fire, and you'll see that his eyes close slightly as well. So I've just added a keyframe on that to make him actually kind of bend towards where he's pointing his gun and firing. So he bends, points, closes his eyes a bit like he's squinting, fires the gun, and then flies off above the buildings. So that's it so far, and I'll just go through what I'm going to do today and then I'll crack on with it. So let's turn off the camera mask. So basically, obviously Batman's zoomed up now. So the idea is that the camera is then going to go, oh, where's Batman gone? And the camera will fly up the side of the building like it's trying to find him. So it'll go all the way up here, and the camera will stop roughly about here. And Batman then all of a sudden will land and kind of crash land on the floor, like, you know, a big kind of superhero landing pose. He'll then jump up, he'll run along here underneath this light on this hotel sign. He'll stop by this kind of eagle gargoyle with the Batman logo flapping in the sort of in the sky in the background, and then he's going to jump off of here, fly down past the buildings, past my credits, and disappear. And that'll be it. So there's still quite a bit to do. So I reckon I'll be animating possibly for about half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on how fast I go. So I will crack on with it. So the first thing I want to do is to get the camera move in place, because what you'll see at the top here at the moment is the background looks all weird and out of position, and that's because it's set for the camera. So when the camera moves, that'll all come into place because it's all in 3D space. And so I want to get the camera in place first and then animate Batman landing in position here. So far, let's turn the mask on again. The camera comes here and then slows down as Batman disappears. Now what I want is then to kind of be like a bit like out of surprise. Where's Batman gone? So he's going to zoom up really quickly and try and find him. So I'm going to take about 10 frames on the camera a layer on the timeline. Press F6 to create a keyframe. And then over here in my top and side window, I'm going to move the camera into position. So as I said before, the triangle on the screen is the point is where the camera is, and obviously the triangle is where the camera's looking. So this is the top view, and this is the side view. So I want the camera to come up. So you just drag over the camera, it goes yellow. Make sure your transform tool is on, and you can grab it and you can pull it upwards, and you'll see in the camera window it's going up. But actually I want it to go straight and not come any closer. So I'll hold down shift and now pull up, and it will stay in position. You'll see Batman going past. So I want the camera to come up and then come down again. So there's a bit of a kind of bounce sort of feel to it. So it's going to come up, and you'll see the background there is starting to work, which looks good. So it's going to go to a high point, which is about there. And then I'm going to create another keyframe, about let's go for another 10 frames. Click F6 on the timeline, and then bring it down again. But I want it to be a bit more over to the right of the screen, so I'm going to go to the top window, and I'm going to drag that across to where I want the final shot to be, which will be somewhere around about there. Maybe a little bit higher. Let's just knock it up a little bit. So something around there, and then we can just watch that quickly. So it'll go whoosh, bump. And if you want to check the kind of movement of the camera, if you select the camera peg and then go to View, Show, Control, this weird line appears on the screen, and this shows you the movement of the camera. So we can see it's a bit of a crazy thing, but down here is the actual camera movement, even though it's happening up here. So it goes all the way up, it's bending back on itself and then landing there. So what I want to do is really pull this shot, the first keyframe that I made, across a bit. So highlight the camera, drag it in, and you'll see that bend is a little bit nicer. And again, we'll just zoom in and then just check that. So it comes along, zooms up, and then lands nicely on the top. Let's just play it. And again, what I want to do here is I want to make this a bit more cushioned so that it's not so sharp. So I'm going to go to the second, or my first keyframe that I made, and then click on the little grey lines with the orange lines on top, which is the set ease multiple parameters. And here I want there to be a slight ease. So I'm going to add in, let's go for 20 on each side. And this is percent. So I'm going for 20% ease on either side. And then I'll go to the next frame and add 20 on the end there. And we'll just try that first. We'll just see how that looks. Okay, so I'm happy with that. The timing's right. So I've got, there's about 15 frames in the first zoom up, and then how many's here? About 14 frames on the slower landing position there. But obviously what happens is, as the camera comes up, obviously Batman is sort of stuck there because obviously I've taken him out of the frame and left him there. So what I need to do is, as soon as he leaves the frame, which is here, I'm going to add on the move layer. Let's just pull this out a bit. So the master peg, I'm going to just create a couple of new pegs somewhere in there, and I'm just going to move him all the way up here out of the shot, and we'll come back to him in a minute. And also we've got the rappel hook, which is up here as a kind of template for me, which is the hook here. That needs to finish as well. So on the same frame, I'm going to take those and just delete those. So now that disappears when Batman jumps up the top. So now, sorry, slow computer today. What are you doing? What are you doing? Thank you. Okay, so it comes up, and now hopefully Batman should disappear. There we go, he's not on the shot anymore. So he's kind of disappeared off the screen. So when the camera stops, Batman's going to come down and land. So what I want to do now is just save that. Oh, in the last video I said there was no autosave. And then somebody in the comments, I've forgotten his name, but very, very kindly actually told me there was one. So I apologise. I have no idea how I missed that, but there is an autosave. So it's under the preferences, under general, you can turn on autosave, which I would highly recommend. Anyway, back to the animation. So now, on that keyframe of Batman that I created, which is here, I was going to find him, and I'm going to sort of pose him ready for landing. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of his gun, because he won't need that. So I'm going to click on the drawing of his hand, go to the library, and then select the first hand that we created, this one here. And now I want to pose him like he's kind of hovering, like a matrix pose, a bit like that, ready to land on the building here. So I will crack on with that. Okay, so that's that pose done. I'll just turn off the deformers for you. So what I've done is I've knocked his nose and his eyes and his face down a little bit to kind of give the idea that he's actually looking down at what he's going to do. We could, if we wanted to, take that body deform and just bend it slightly, just so that he's kind of looking down at where he's going to go, with his legs high up in the air. Again, we can just turn on the deformers and just maybe make these a little bit more extreme if we want to. Like he's jumping in the air. He's kind of got to the highest point and he's about to kind of come down and land. Something like that we'll probably do. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along and do the impact frame. So he's going to come down, do that kind of fist on the floor, knee on the floor, kind of bang type pose. And then he's going to jump up and carry on his run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along just the next frame for now, create a new frame by clicking on F6. I'm going to move him right down here to where he's going to land on the floor. Now what I want is I want this foot to be on the floor, the front foot, and this one's going to be like bent down. So I will crack on with that pose. Okay, so that's the pose done. I need to sort this arm out because currently the arm is in front of the foot, but obviously I want that to be behind the foot. Now, if I was going to go really detailed, I'd probably change the hand actually to be a bit more flat on the floor, but just for this animation I'm just going to crack on with what I've got for now, and I would probably go in and make a few amends to that. So he's going to come down from up here in the sky. Let's turn the deformers off, and he's going to go bang on the floor. Again, for this animation, I'm not going to do effects and things like that. So, for example, I would probably do a big cloud of dust or something coming off the top of the hotel when he landed, kind of add a bit more of effect to it, a bit more sort of drama. But I'm not going to do it for this animation just because of time. And obviously, trying to keep it as basic as possible, but while showing you as much as I can. But I would probably do a little cloud of dust hitting the floor there as he sort of slams onto the top of the hotel. So now the keyframes are done, what I want to do is just make sure that this keyframe here of him landing is in the right position compared to the camera move. So the camera comes up here and then stops on this frame. So what I want is him to land roughly a few frames after that. So I'm going to take that keyframe and move it along to about there. I'm just going to make that a stop motion keyframe for a minute. So now if we reset our window, he should land in time with the camera. So he flies up, bang. So we now know that's what's going to happen. So I might do a few more frames as well. Maybe add another 5 frames on that to give the camera kind of a chance to settle properly. So he'll fly down and land on the floor there. Now, so I need to extend this out now. So I'm running out of timeline. So I'm going to grab the little red toggle and pull it up probably to about, let's go for 400 for now. And also at the moment, if I go down to this end, there's no images. I just need to extend all of my characters. So I'm just going to get to Batman. The last frame, press F5. Go to the background, press F5. Okay, so he comes along, whoosh, doosh. He then lands. I'll have a little pause for about 10 frames or so as the kind of cape will settle down, and then he's going to jump off this leg back into the run cycle again. So what I've done the run cycle, so I can just copy those frames and I can do like a blending keyframe in between this pose and the jump pose. So I'm just going to take this leg using the B button to go up the hierarchy, and you'll see over here it tells you the name of the drawing. So in this case it's Batman 2 leg. And I'm going to go all the way back down to the start of the run cycle, and what I want is obviously here it is the one it's going to push off from. So we're going to cut from about here. So that is frame 6 I want to take from, and I'm going to do probably to that one, which is frame 23. So I'm going to take those, highlight them using shift, copy them, take them to here, and then after 10 frames after that pose I'm going to paste those in, and for a second let's make that a stop motion keyframe. So he'll land, then obviously what has happened is because he's down here, look, we need to just put in a keyframe to move him. So obviously I need to put a keyframe in on the Batman move peg. So I'm going to do that, put one there, and then drag him up to the top. Turn on my onion skinning so I can see where, oh, wrong one, where it needs to be. Extend that out a little bit so we can see it. So you can see there that the foot is down here. So I'm just going to make that level with that. And just alter the foot slightly. Okay, so let's have a little look. So he lands, wham, and then he should then just jump. So what I might do is go to this frame. So I'm going to take these ones and move them up and just copy over the top of those. I'm just going to move him a bit more. So like I said, I'm going to add an in-between frame in there in a while, but just to get the kind of timing right. So he lands, and he's going to burst into the jump again. So he's going to fly off, running along top of the building. He's going underneath the light there, that will look quite nice. So I probably need, oh, that's the, computer's being very slow today. Must be the heat. I have no idea why I'm sitting here in a jumper. It was quite cold this morning, but it's become like 30 degrees. I'm still sitting here in a jumper with lights on. Right, anyway. So I need one more part jump. Come on, computer. Wakey wakey. I was just sort of matching these up again. And we're almost at the end of the run cycle. Let's just try that. So he runs along. And I want to stop him on this frame here. That's perfect. Look how perfectly he lands on the end of that thing. Right, okay. So I'm going to take the other frames and just delete them for now. We won't need those. So he's going to land there and then obviously come to a standstill. So as you can see, the animation is building up now, slowly. Obviously I need to finish this landing thing. Let's have a quick check. So it comes up, boom, off he runs, and the camera's obviously going to follow him there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into Batman and sort this arm out. So to knock it back in space, he has to have a peg on top of the deformer. So in here, it's the second arm, which is, that's arm 1 group, arm 2 group here. He needs his own peg, so I'm just going to stick that in, and the keyframes can go onto that. So for example, now I can nudge that back using Alt and up. It's nudged it back into 3D space, and you can see it there. And then what I'm going to do is use the deformer just to bring the arm up on that keyframe, like so. So now the arm is behind the foot. So wham! And then off he goes again, belting along the top of the roof, underneath the light. And then jumping and landing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring his legs forward together into a final position there. Let's deal with the landing one first. So let's put a keyframe, let's copy this keyframe here and put one in there, and let's just see, make that a tween. So yeah, that's going to be far too slow. So I'm going to bring that closer. So had a bit of ease in on that. So let's do quite a lot, so 40%. Boom. Okay, so that's the land. Now obviously we need to do a bit of sort of bounce in that as well, so I'm just going to create a couple more keyframes and I'm just going to pose the bounce, so I'll crack on with that now. So I've done that keyframe, so he comes down now and there's a little slight squash as he lands to kind of slow the motion down. What I want is the cape is obviously looking a bit slow, so the body's nice and kind of pressed. The cape takes too long to come down to the ground, so I'm just going to go into that by clicking on the cape over to the timeline and pressing O, and it will bring down my selection, so it centers on selection. And then I'm just going to find the keyframes for that, which is here. And I'm just going to drag that a little bit further, or back a bit, so it's a bit quicker than everything else. I might even do it really, really quick, and then have a kind of settling frame. Just shrink it down a bit, maybe. Let's just see how that looks. Sorry, I've been out of practice. I haven't done this for so long. I'm not really with it today, and I keep forgetting I'm recording. I'm just kind of getting on with my animation. So please forgive me if I'm not talking as much as normal. I will get back into the swing of things now, with lots more videos planned on the way. So he comes down, wham, onto the floor. Bosh. Cape comes down, and then what I want to do now is I want to ease him back up a little bit. So I'm just going to go up and uncollapse all of him. I'm going to select the hit frame, which is this one, and then I'm going to paste that here and turn that onto a tween. So it comes down, hits the floor, comes up again slightly, and then that's a bit weird. Oh, of course, yes. We need to have a keyframe in there. Oh, I need to sort that transition out. And the cape again. So he needs to sort of roll forwards a bit here now to kind of get ready for the push. Because he's coming back up, he's going back up or backwards again. But he needs to lean forward like he's gonna push off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this frame now and work on this as an in-between between the two. Okay, so now you'll see he comes down, hits the floor, and then he leans forward a bit after this frame to kind of get ready to push himself off. Now, what happens is obviously this leg that's on the floor is on the next keyframe is that it's the wrong position. Like it needs here. The in between is not right here, so I'm just going to fix that. And I'll be back. Okay, so that was quite simple. Just like another frame in the middle there, just so that it pushes off properly. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the camera now, so that obviously because he's currently going out of shot. So just to keep it looking like it would in the final film, I'm just going to do that. Let's have a quick look. There we go. So lands. Like I said, I would do a little puff of smoke, like there, but I just for this animation, I'm trying to keep it as basic as possible, but also trying to help you create something that's actually really good. So there we go. So he lands with a nice thud on the floor, a little bit of a press, bit of ease out onto the movement, and then leans into the next movement. And then jumps off back into the run cycle again, which looks like a smooth transition. Again, simple things like his foot here, you'll see, is hanging over the building. Again, I would probably split up the fence line and the thing and put him behind the building if I was going to do it fully, just so that doesn't look like he's actually sort of floating on top of the building a bit. But again, for this animation, I won't do that for now. So let's crack on with the camera move. So he's going to start to run. Like here, I think. And that's when the camera's going to start to follow him again. So I'm going to go to the camera peg, F6, and turn off the mask for a second. And then he's going to run along. So the camera's going to stop after he stops. So the camera's going to stop about here. So F6. And then just going to drag it along in the camera window. I want it to be hanging over the side a little bit. Oh, I must fix this background as well. Another job to do. Anyway, Let's just turn the deformers off for a second. And again, let's add a bit of ease in and ease out. So click on the first frame, and I'm going to add probably about 30 on there, apply in next, and 30 on this side. And we'll just now put the mask back on again, zoom in a bit, and have a little look. There we go. So it kicks off, tries to catch him up, overtakes him a little bit, and then slows down as he stops. I might even actually make that a little bit longer. And add a really long sort of fade out on the end there. Okay, I'm not quite happy with it, but I'll do this pose here first. So he's obviously going to sort of screech to a halt, hands on his hips, and then kind of his cape waving in the air, and looking at the bat symbol, which I also need to animate as well, which is currently out of shot a little bit, so I need to bring that down a little bit. And then he's going to jump off. So I'll crack on with this final kind of key pose here at the end, and then we will carry on from there. Right, so that's the kind of animation of that part done, and now all I've got to do is sort the bat beam out, and I'm going to have Batman sort of squinting his eyes a bit, and I'm going to do a few mouth shapes to kind of finish off, and also he's going to jump off here and then just dive down past the credits again. So there's a few more things to do, but we're kind of getting there. So I've got a little sway on the cape. You could do a little bit more of a twist there, I think. Okay, so I'm going to have Batman squinting. So again, I'm just going to select the eyes, and it's quite simple with these ones. I'll just select that, go up to the peg, and just first of all click on F6 to make sure that it's got a peg. And I'm going to do a nice slow squint. So he's just going to close his eyes a little bit, and the same with this one. I'm just going to go to the peg, press F6 to make sure it's a keyframe, come along to here, and then just match that a little bit. And now he should squint like he's looking at the beam in the sky. And what I might do as well is just have a little body twist, just so that he's kind of looking up a bit more, and again a slight bounce back just to give a bit of realism. And okay, so before I do the timing for the jump, I'm just going to do the bat logo. So that's fine. Let's just save that. Turn off Batman's deformers for a second so that I don't get all confused. So let's take the bat logo. So first of all, I just want to make sure it's in the right position because it's currently a bit high. So I'm just going to let's just find it. I'm just dragging it around until I'm happy with the position of the final frame. That looks good. Okay, so now we're going to work on just basically a bit of waving in the sky. So he comes into shot about here. So I'm just going to put another keyframe in on that. So go to the peg, press F6, and then I'm going to have it swaying. So I'm going to turn it and then skew it slightly. In the sky, so it will come down, and then let's just take that keyframe again and paste that in. And just copy and paste that a couple of times. So it's a bit fast at the moment, so I'm just going to probably double the length of that. And then I'm just going to put some ease in and some ease out. Just a little bit on either side, just to give it a nice bounce, nice ease in bounce. Okay. Okay. So that's enough of a pause there. So I reckon I want to get him to do his jump about here. So let's get Batman. Go to the master peg. And I want him to start his jump about here. So he's come in, he's paused, looked at the symbol, and then he's going to start. Then he's going to jump off and fly down. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of keyframes, get everything in the right position, and then we'll finish off the animation. We're almost there. Right, so I think we're done. So I'm just going to go to View, Hide All Controls, which gets rid of that control line. And let's have a look. So I've just keyframed in the jump. So if just to explain, what I did was I put keyframes in all next to each other. I then created the squash kind of preparation for the jump keyframe. I then put in a keyframe here, which is the top of the jump, this one first, and then another one here as it's coming down, and then the last one was the final keyframe, which is all the way down here, and then I added in an extra keyframe in between the squash keyframe and the top one, so that's this one, to kind of make sure the legs were pointing straight down because they were a bit bent. So I just wanted to make sure that that was real straight off there, because they stay bent there. So actually I might even do a bit more there actually, just because they shouldn't be bent there. They should be, to kind of give a nice powerful impact feeling, they should be already straight and maybe slightly stretched out as well. So we're going to extend those out like they're pinging off. And what you'll notice as well is that on this frame here, I've actually bent the legs the wrong way. And I've done this on purpose so that it has a real bendy, flexible feel, and it kind of follows the curve of the body. That's the idea anyway. So when you watch it, it looks a bit more elasticy. It really was an experiment. I think it works quite well though. So let's just show you the jump. Again, you can't quite see it, but I think it does add a bit of shape to the character as he jumps. So let's go back to the start and let's just watch it through and make sure that I'm happy with the overall animation. That's it. Right, okay. So what I'm doing now is again do the final camera move. So he jumps off the screen, whoosh, off he goes. Let's extend this out a little bit, just see if that. And the camera needs to then start following him again. So it will start here. So camera is that one. And we're going to pan down to the credits, which are here. Make sure they're sort of central. That's it, and we'll make sure that Batman is out of the way. Okay, so it's too quick, so I'm going to extend that. And I'm also going to add frames so the camera comes up first before it comes down. It's going to kind of follow his movement. And then I'm going to extend that one out again and just do a really big ease on the end of that. I'm just going to check the control path again. So view, show, control, because it feels a bit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to that keyframe and bring it slightly more over so that it drops down a bit straighter. Right, okay, so I think we're done. I think we're done. So again, there's plenty of things that I would change. Or if I was going to, if I was doing it as a professional job, there's stuff that I would want to go over and amend and add to. The rig is not perfect. The backgrounds aren't perfect. I need to fix this bit here. I would add effects and that kind of thing and all that sort of stuff. But the actual animation on the whole is there. And for this series, which obviously is a basic series, I'm happy enough with the animation. There are just a few things that I need to change before we finish the video. And that is fixing this background here. And I want to add in a different mouth shape. So I'm just going to quickly fix the background, then I'll come back and we will crack on with the mouth and then we're done. Okay, back in a second. Okay, so I've just quickly fixed the background and just filled in the gap. And now I just want to go back and add a kind of grrr sort of mouth shape as he's going to fire his gun, which is right back at the start, just to add a little bit more character to it. So let's just go Shift M to reset the camera view. So here, as he goes to pull out his gun, I'm going to change his mouth shape to a kind of grrr. So I'm going to select the mouth with my transform tool. And then I'm going to go duplicate the drawing. And we should see over here we have number 2. Go to the drawing window, reset that. Get rid of the skin color. And then I'm just going to take the background here, make sure I'm on paintbrush, tool properties, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got the Batman brush, which is at the bottom, I think. Here he is. And I'm just going to do a kind of grrr. Grrr shape. Let's just give that a go and see how it looks. Okay, it's far too big is the honest answer. So I'm just gonna redo that. I'm just going to change it here again. So as he jumps, it's going to go grrr. Okay, so there we go. I am now done. We'll just play it through one more time, shall we? Just so you can see it. So here we go. So there we go, all done. So the only thing left to do now is export it. So exporting is really, really easy. I always export and edit in Final Cut Pro. So you just go to File, Export, Movie. And then in here you have all your kind of normal settings. And generally, because you've made the animation to the frame size you need, you just have to name it, select where you want to save it, and then generally go to all frames, because if you're going to edit in Final Cut Pro anyway, it doesn't matter if you've got bits at the end or the start of your animation, you can cut them off in Final Cut Pro. or whatever editing software you use, and then you use the same scene resolution that you have in your scene. So in this case, HD 1920 by 1080, and then movie options. When I edit, obviously in Final Cut Pro, I like to export it as an Apple ProRes, just so that it's the best quality and doesn't need any rendering. And also the sound is just uncompressed if you've got sound in your thing. And what I do in Final Cut Pro is sync the sound from the file to an original sound piece, and then delete the audio from the footage from Final Cut from Toon, so that I get a nice clean audio. And then you can prepare it for internet streaming if you want to. So there we go, that's how you do it. So what I'll do is I will obviously upload this video, and then as I did with my Minion series where I released the final film as a little separate one, I will do the same on my channel. So thank you for watching this video and this series. I hope it has been okay for you, and yeah, like I said, it's probably a bit too complicated for a basic series, but I hope that you've learnt lots, picked up lots of tips and tricks. And if you have any questions, then please feel free to message me or leave a comment, and I'll get back to you. And of course, if you want to watch any of my previous videos, please click on one of the buttons above my head. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the big red button, and also please do tweet me as well at Mr. John Taylor on Twitter. And I'll be back very shortly with some more videos. See you soon. Bye for now.